Creating fun and exciting encounters in D&D 5e is a challenge all of its own. Having an encounter that doesn't drag out and feel repetitive is the difference between having a good session or just having your players feel burned out. When you get more practice and understand the enemies and their abilities more, it'll get easier to add in other things like environmental changes, countdowns, and more. However, if you're just beginning your DM journey, I've got some easy combat tips that can help you make your combat encounters better. Hey everyone, I'm Porter from Roll for New GM, and here are a few tips to help new DMs add a little bit of spice to their encounters. The first and easiest in my opinion is simply changing the hit point values of the enemies. This may seem a little obvious, but I've seen far too many new DMs, myself included, just using the basic hit point average on the enemy stat block and moving on with the encounter. Simply rolling or adding and subtracting a few hit points here and there can definitely add a little disorder to the battle, especially for those players who like to keep track of how many hit points a certain stat block has. After all, why wouldn't they have different hit point values? Make one skeleton have the base 13 HP while another has 19, or give them a little false confidence by putting up a weak skelly with just 7 hit points. You can carry this simple tip throughout the entire campaign, and it just kind of helps to mix things up a little bit more. Drawing off of the skeleton HP example, let's mix up their weapons a bit. The stat block for a basic skeleton shows them having a short sword and a short bow. But again, why would they all be exactly the same? You can easily throw a shield on a few to add that extra 2 AC, and add a little diversity to the horde of skeletons that are rising up out of the grave. Maybe a skeleton has a two-handed great axe that drags behind them on the ground. You could still use the same weapon attack of a +4, but rather than the 1d6 +2 of a short sword, just change it to a 2d6 +2 for the great axe. Just by simply changing the hit points and weapons on a basic skeleton encounter can drastically improve the overall encounter and maybe make the party want to focus on certain ones. Sticking with the skeleton example once more, on their own they do not possess any magical abilities, but you are the DM after all. Maybe you want to add a few cantrips and a level 1 spell to a skeleton, and swap out the short sword for a quarterstaff. Nothing is stopping you. While in the rules, skeletons don't speak, and therefore can't perform the vocal parts of spells, there's no reason that your skeletons can't be enchanted or experimented on to be able to perform certain spells. However, if you do want to stick with them not being able to speak, there are cantrips and first level spells that don't require the verbal component, like Thunderclap or Ice Knife. There are a ton more ways to create a better combat encounter, but I know these few simple tips really helped me out when I first started DMing, and I hope you can take some of these ideas and incorporate them into your own campaign. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel for more D&D 5e videos, and until next time, friends.